Good afternoon. I'm Yvonne Scott, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. Today, we're going to talk about academic success. In 1912, Terman and Childs wrote in the Journal of Educational Psychology that the Stanford-Binet test of 1908 was invaluable to researchers. For decades since, the IQ test has stood as the tool of choice. It's helped to designate students as gifted, to decide which direction their academic path should take, whether they're gifted, regular, or a delayed student. That is explained by McLean Pfeiffer in 2012. McLean and Pfeiffer also did research, and they found out that the federal government has adopted a definition of gifted, which means a capable of academic success. The problem is, in most states, there's no consensus as to the definition or the characteristics that would constitute a gifted student, a student capable of being academically successful. In 2007, Duckworth, Peterson, Matthews, and Kelly found that there are other things responsible for success than IQ. They called it grit. And they developed the 12-item grit scale and began testing it. In 2016, Behan did a study very similar to mine with university students. And he found that it is apparent that the academic success does require skills in adapting to university life, as well as learning how knowledge is required. Duckworth, Quinn, and Tsukiyama in 2012 furthered their research on grit, and they found that IQ tests actually test the intelligence and the thinking skills of the students. But they went on to say that they thought including grades along with achievement tests would give a better picture of the students' full capabilities. They specifically said self-control is important in the academic process. It more academically predicts academic success, because a student with self-control can finish homework, can concentrate, can have social behavior that's compatible with a classroom. And Duckworth, Quinn, and Tsukiyama also said that a student's effort is important because it plays just as much in their learning as what the teacher presents and the style of the teacher. And that this success will show up in grades, but not necessarily in the IQ tests. IQ and achievement tests alone are still the tool of choice. The specific definition of gifted nor the criteria of test results are stipulated among states. McLean and Pfeiffer in 2012 did this research and presented this material. It's important because we need to know that to be consistent among the states, so that when we choose a child as gifted, we can't say in one state that a child with a really low score is gifted, when in another state a child with a much higher score is considered gifted. We need to make consistency among the states so that gifted is truly designated in the United States. Although Duckworth attempts to separate grit from self-control, researchers have not yet looked at that possibility. Grit, unfortunately, does have inconsistent results with its relationship to academic success, as Monks, Wingfield, Yang, and O'Neill found in 2017. For my survey, for my research, my hypothesis is that there will be a relationship between grit and GPA. Grit, in its full scale, can also be broken down into two subscales: persistence of effort and consistency of interest. The scores of grit and its subscales, as they rise, I hypothesize that the GPA will rise in the same manner, showing a correlation and a relationship in grit as a predictor of academic success. I presented a survey that was built in Google Forms. It was administered online via Sona and social media. It was made available for 3 weeks. A convenience sample was taken at a Texas University campus, as well as a personal social media site. All in all, we had 57 participants complete the survey. It was heavily skewed with 77% female. The total participants were 44 female, 12 male, and 1 non-binary. The mean age was 24 with a standard deviation of 8. The measurements that I used was the short grit scale, which evaluates the levels of effort and interest, and it was created by Duckworth and Quinn in 2009. Grit had an alpha coefficient of 0.73 to 0.83. The subscales of consistency of interest and perseverance of effort had Cronbach's alphas of 0.73 to 0.79 and 0.60 to 0.83 respectively. Once the participants were read the consent statement and agreed to complete the survey, they went online and finished all of the questions. After 3 weeks, the data was downloaded into Excel, where I consolidated the grit score, the perseverance of effort score, and the consistency of interest score. And then I uploaded all of that data into SPSS. From there, I ran a Pearson correlation to measure the relationship between grit, full grit, the perseverance of effort, the consistency of effort, all against GPA. Unfortunately, you can see that my hypothesis was not supported. No significant correlation in any of the variables appeared. The variables show little relationship with one another. The full grit score had a regression of 0.115. The consistency of interest had a regression score of 0.148. And the perseverance of effort score had a regression of 0.017, all with a confidentiality level of 95%. My findings did not show any correlation to GPA. The hypothesis was not supported. The results, however, did indicate limitations in the study, possibly due to the low number of participants. Also, there was one extreme outlier that should have been removed. Another reason is, as you can see by the bell curve created by full grit is obviously a generalizable construct. On the other hand, the mean of my GPA was 0.347, which tells us that the GPA tells us that it could have been a non-generalizable participant pool, which caused problems with the correlations. In the end, we find IQ has an inconsistent definition in the states. Other factors have been found to be predictors of academic success. As Bayhand and Duckworth and many studies has shown us, there is things that are apparent in addition to IQ that cause academic success to be possible. It is the opinion of this researcher that further studies are needed to verify if Duckworth's grit scale is one of these factors. That is important so that we can address the situation in our classrooms and begin to teach the skills that we find related to success at a much earlier age. I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today, and I look forward to future opportunities to share research with each other. Thank you.